The magician carved a world of form, with sigils sharp and symbols warm. He held the sun inside his palm, and wove the winds to chant him calm. His tower rose on thoughts made true. He knew the shape of fire and dew. The stars obeyed his measured breath. His name was known to life and death. But all was set in silent rhyme, a clockwork locked outside of time. Though flawless in its mirrored pace, it bore no echo, left no trace. Then from the west a jangle rang, a clash of bells, a laugh, a pang. The fool came singing nonsense lore, and cracked the chamber's golden floor. The fool made shapes the mind can't hold, and danced where spells had once controlled. He juggled eggs and cosmic laws. He broke the staff and earned applause. The magician stared, then drew his charts, tried binding jest with scholars' arts. Each glyph he traced to mark the path was smeared with laughter, smoke, or wrath. He asked the high priest for the plan, to master chaos, map the man. But riddles twisted all his threads, and dreams crept in where logic bled. He tried to force the fool to stay, to tame the path, to name the play, but nothing held. The spell unwound. The fool was nowhere, yet all around. The magician rode to distant lands, his will aflame with trembling hands. He summoned storms to test his frame, and cursed the fool without a name. The stars no longer stayed in line. They spun new paths, they crossed his spine. His perfect spells began to bend in ways that no thought could defend. He met the beast, the flame, the sword, and none obeyed a single word. The fool sat watching, feeding birds, and answered wrath with lyric blurbs. Then came a wound, his finest charm rebounded, wild and split his arm. He bled not pain, but shame and doubt. His wisdom cracked, the truth spilled out. Through ruined maps and ash-made skies, the magician searched with altered eyes. He found the fool beside a stream, and asked him not with words, but dream. No answer came, just spirals drawn on leaves that curled, then came undone. Each one a truth he couldn't speak, that vanished once he dared to seek. The fool just smiled and touched the flames, that flicker fire's unspoke name. It leapt to life upon the breath of thoughts the magician left for death. He tried to name it, write it down. It laughed, then turned into a crown. But when he placed it on his brow, it turned to silence. What burns now? The fool led down a midnight trail, through veils of ash, through bone and bale. They passed the gates where death held court, and time unwound with no report. The magician walked where spells went mute, where kings were husks and gold was soot. The hanged man smiled from his tree of thought, unbound by anything he'd sought. He touched the scars each trial left, not cursing them, but slow and deft. He saw within the break's design a story not of mine or thine. But then he reached an inner hall where mirrors lined a sunless wall. He called his name. It made no sound. What self remains when none is found? He stepped through ruins fresh with light, where shards of towers caught the night, and still the world began to gleam. Not less real now, but more a dream. The fool sang softly to the trees, and stars bent down upon their knees. No longer noise, his acts rang clear. Their strangeness shaped the listening ear. The magician wept, and not for loss, but for the seams where meanings cross. Each falling stone became a sign, each laugh a spell, each breeze a line. But as the stars reshaped his heart, he knew his works had been for naught. He'd missed what mattered most to see, not master life, but simply be. They came upon the moon's cold lake, where shadows shift and senses break. No more outside, no world apart. The fool stood still. He knew this part. The magician shed his final frame, and asked no question, spoke no name. He breathed with trees, with stone, with beast, no longer teacher, king, or priest. They moved through dusk, a single mind, not leading, led, or left behind. The fool said nothing, yet he gave the tone that taught the light to wave. But even as the silence sung, a warning crept along his tongue. One glance behind, one grasp for mine, and grace would split from sacred line. The magician rose with dawn's first fire, not seeking rule, not claiming wire. He walked where needs and signs aligned. The world revealed through clearer mind. No longer framed by cause or fight, he danced with judgment through the night. His staff was not to push or pull, but tune the world to something full. He named not names but threads of tone. He built with space, not self alone. The fool beside him still uncaged, now partner, now the final page. Yet in the crowd they praised the jest, the open hands, the restless quest, and still the magician stood apart, a shape too whole to read by heart. The magician walked with practiced poise and answered change with studied noise. He summoned forms from buried scrolls and tightened gaps with perfect goals. But silence thickened at his side. The fool was gone. No shout, no stride. His gestures echoed, stiff and sharp. Each spell too clean, each chord too harp. Then came the ache, no wound, no cut. Just absence wrapped in holy gut. He dropped the wand, the pose, the plan, and knelt where once the fool began. He wept not grief, but recognition. For in that hollowed repetition, he saw the fool, the smile, the gait. Not foe, but self he'd learned too late. He walked the roads with open skin, where every stone could speak within. A breeze became a mother's hand, a leaf unfurled what he could stand. A child laughed once, and stars took shape. The world moved close, collapsed escape. No symbol stood apart from breath. He acted now in place of death. Each motion bore its own reply. He stitched the ground, he sang the sky. No longer casting, chasing, caught, each act became what it had sought. Then came the fool, his gaze unshod, and past him not a rule, but God, a mirror framed in nothing bold, and in it, the world, the story told. Now he beheld the world as face, not backdrop, but a breathing place. Each beast and branch and burning eye looked back with truths that did not lie. He felt the fool within his chest, not haunting now, but shared unrest. Not jest, not foil, not other voice, but rhythm made from lack of choice. He moved through days without disguise, no need to name, no need to prize. Each presence shared became his own. He taught through silence, not through throne. And when they asked what he had won, he smiled, gestured at the sun. He said, "I found a path to Rome, where every step is always home."